What's going on, friends? If you are doing a big bore kit on your Harley-Davidson, this is an opportune time to go ahead and add some compression to the engine. This has a lot of benefits, and there's a multitude of reasons why you want to do this. Big bore kits and added displacement are great, but the compression is key to get that extra bit of power. But if you're not ready for that compression, you could really cause yourself a lot of problems. Adding compression to your Harley-Davidson engine is the key to more power. The harder you squeeze that air-fuel mixture ratio as the compression ratio goes up, the better the thermal efficiency, and the more power output you're going to get. Not only is compression excellent for added horsepower and torque, but added compression actually allows your engine to really take advantage of that high-performance camshaft. More compression, especially with a lot of performance cams, this really allows the cam to shine and do its job to its full potential. The problem with compression is actually getting the engine started, especially when it's hot. Now, depending on what year of Harley-Davidson that you own, you're probably already in business. On the other hand, you might have to look at some options to actually prevent damage to the engine. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. When we start increasing compression, starting the engine becomes exponentially harder, and this is where damage can result. Now, unless you're running a late model 103 or Milwaukee 8 that already has the automatic compression releases, we're going to have to look at some options here. Increasing compression is excellent for performance, but not so great for the battery and the starter. Now, you might get away with it for a while, being able to start the motorcycle even when it's hot with higher compression, but you're really living on borrowed time and you're running a lot of risk there. Option 1 is going with a high torque starter. Yes, the high torque starter will turn the engine over. It's a little harder on the battery, but you got to look at it this way. With a high torque starter, yes, it will force those pistons through that added compression, but this is basically like taking an expensive snap-on ratchet, putting a big long cheater pipe on it, and then going and breaking some very stuck bolts. This is you're going to get away with it for a while, but eventually something's going to give. Now, what you got to remember is that even with a high torque starter, you're still forcing that primary chain, your gears, your compensator. You're putting them through a lot of stress, pushing through all that compression. And as we all know, certain years of Harley-Davidson motorcycles have weak compensators. We really don't want to shake that tree too much unless we really have to. Now, if you're doing a big bore kit, you're already going to have the heads off the bike. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, well, I'll just take my heads down to the machine shop, get them drilled and tapped for compression releases, maybe get a port and polish job while I'm there. This can become very costly. Depending on what machine shop you go to, who's in your area, the cost of having all that done, it might even put you right in the range of just going out and buying a brand new set of performance heads. They're already drilled and tapped, ported, polished, everything's done, and they're brand new, nothing to worry about. Now, this all depends what your budget is, how much you're willing to spend, and how much time you want to be down. Now, honestly, going to the machine shop, as I mentioned, this can be just as expensive as a new set of heads. But what if I told you there was another option that's going to keep you out of the machine shop, and not only that, it's going to keep you from having to buy a brand new set of heads. You can actually go back with your stock heads untouched if you wanted to, although I would highly recommend go ahead and getting them serviced and cleaned up. Now, one of the best options out there if you're adding compression to your bike is going with the SNS Easy Start Cams. These are actually a really neat innovation from SNS. These have been around for quite a while, and they do work pretty dang well. They install just like any other cam, but they have a special little trick up their sleeve, which completely eliminates the need for any type of compression release. SNS Easy Start Cams have a centrifugally operated cam lobe on the exhaust valves. This is right in line with the tappet on your exhaust valve. What this does is that when you're starting the motorcycle, this little lobe actually rotates and bumps the exhaust valve open slightly, which relieves the compression, makes the bike start over much easier, and then when the motorcycle reaches about 800 RPM, the centrifugal force slides that lobe out of the way, and the engine resumes normal operation. These cams install just like any other regular old camshaft out there, but they have that one little trick up their sleeve. Now, yes, one could argue that this is one more moving part in the engine and one more point of failure, but SNS has tested these through hundreds of thousands of starts and hundreds of thousands of road miles. These are very reliable camshafts. And not to mention, this is a very cost-effective way of getting around having to actually install compression releases in your heads. Now, the downside of this is we mentioned more moving parts, and also this locks you into using an SNS cam. There's absolutely nothing wrong with SNS cams. They produce a lot of power, they're excellent parts, but for whatever reason, you may not be seeing the power curve that you want when it comes to an SNS cam, and you want something more. Maybe you want to go with a T-Man performance cam, you want to go with wood, you want to go with somebody that doesn't offer that kind of design. Is it back to the machine shop? Not necessarily. Now, I do have another option for you, and this does not require you to go back to the machine shop. Now, honestly, with anything else, in theory, it does have some potential drawbacks. Now, Wimmer Custom Cycle, we are not sponsored, but I really love this product that they have. They basically have a bolt-on compression release that requires no other modifications to your existing heads whatsoever, and not to mention, the price isn't too bad at all. These compression release kits run about $150. But they do come with one drawback, and that one drawback is you have to use a longer spark plug. Now, I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Having to use that longer spark plug, you only use that with the compression release installed. If you put that longer spark plug in your head, your piston and that spark plug are going to get married, and that's going to be a really bad divorce situation. This bolt-on compression release, the spark plug actually slides right through it. You screw the spark plug into the head, and boom, you've got yourself a manual compression release with no other modifications needed. The big benefit here is that you can run any camshaft you like, any compression ratio you want, and you don't have to worry about getting a new set of heads or taking your existing heads to a machine shop to have them drilled and tapped. Now, one could argue that, yes, the spark plug could maybe potentially back out. This could cause some issues there, but if you torque them to spec, follow the directions, take your time, this isn't hard to do, it's just a very simple bolt-on, you'll be just fine. Now, of course, you could put some red Loctite on there, and it ain't going to go anywhere no matter what. Don't put red Loctite. Don't put any kind of Loctite on your spark plugs. If you have to put something on there, only put a little bit of anti-seize. No Loctite whatsoever. Going with an SNS Easy Start Cam or these manual compression releases from Wimmer Custom Cycle, these are two excellent options to really help keep your costs down if you're doing a big bore kit and your bike doesn't have automatic compression releases already from the factory. This allows you to get the big bore kit, get the compression, get the power, and really reduce your costs by not having to go to a machine shop or buy a new set of heads. Now, as I mentioned, this all depends on your budget. If you're going to go ahead and port and polish the heads, you might as well have this done anyhow. Just go ahead and have it machined and tapped for some manual compression releases or some automatic compression releases if you choose. Guys, let me know in the comments, if you've been into your engine and increased compression in any way, went with an SNS Easy Start Cam, let me know what you went with. What compression ratio did you go with, and what do you think of it? Let me know what you think of those SNS Easy Start Cams. Anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars, and I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.